All right, so I, you know how sometimes someone pops up and you're like, wait a second, what is that?
Yeah, totally.
Well, we had that exact moment when we saw that the Healing and Change Lab is coming back from spring break on April 3rd, 2025. Someone sent that in. Thank you, by the way.
Yeah, thanks for flagging that for us. It's definitely something interesting.
Absolutely. So we thought, okay, let's dive in and really try to understand what the Healing and Change Lab is all about.
That's good to me.
Where should we even begin with this thing?
Well, they've got this announcement, right?
Right.
And it looks like this lab is hanging out in some pretty interesting online spaces,
Like where?
like Hillman Talk and TikTok University. It seems like those are kind of their home bases online.
You know, I think it would be helpful if we could just pause for a second and really clarify what Hillman Talk and TikTok University are.
Oh yeah, for sure.
For anyone who might not be super familiar with those online communities,
Right.
the lab is actually very clear that they're not officially part of either of them.
Yeah, they're more like super enthusiastic participants.
Exactly.
In fact, they even describe themselves as showing up with notebooks and snacks.
I love that. It's like they're ready to dive in and learn.
Yeah, it definitely shows their enthusiasm for learning and sharing.
You know, another interesting thing about them is they specifically talk about their inspiration.
Oh yeah, what's that?
They mention a video by Dr. Leah Barlow that kind of sparked this whole TikTok movement.
Oh, interesting.
And they seem to be carrying on that torch of joyful engagement and what they call unapologetic education.
So they're not afraid to get out there and really dig into things.
Not at all. They're all about learning and sharing what they find. And speaking of sharing, their YouTube channel has really taken off.
Oh, wow, that's awesome. What's the name of their channel?
It's at Almeta Creates. That's
Okay.
ALMETTA_CREATES.
Okay, I'll have to check that out. What have they been posting?
Well, they've already got over 600 subscribers in just their first month, which is pretty impressive.
That is really impressive for a brand new channel.
I know, right?
Yeah.
And their Lab 101 video, which focuses on dreaming, collective care, and practice, has already gotten something like over 5,000 views.
Wow, that's huge. It seems like they're really tapping into something that people are interested in.
Totally. Okay, so they're on spring break right now, but they're gearing up for their next big thing, right?
Yep, LLab 102, they're launching it on April 3rd, 2025.
April 3rd, 2025. Got it. And the theme for this LLab 102 is intriguing.
It really is. 6 months from now, where will you be?
So they're really pushing people to think ahead, to be proactive. I like that.
Me too. It's not just about coping with what's happening right now. It's about thinking about the future and how to shape it.
You know, what I find particularly striking is how they connect this future-focused theme to what's happening in the world right now.
Yeah, like with the U.S. administration spending bill and all the potential consequences that could come from it.
Exactly. They're not shying away from the reality of potential layoffs, cuts to social services, and just a general increase in instability.
It's like they're saying, okay, things might get tough, but how can we prepare for that and create a better future for ourselves?
And that's where their core practices come in. Dreaming, collective care, and practice.
Right. They call them sacred tools of survival and sustainability.
Which I think is so powerful. These aren't just some random self-help techniques. They're presenting these practices as essential ways to navigate the challenges that might be coming our way.
Okay, so let's break those down a little bit. What do they mean by dreaming?
Well, from what I understand, it's not just about sitting around and daydreaming about how you wish things were.
Right. It seems like it's more about envisioning the future you want to create.
Exactly. And maybe even understanding the forces that are shaping our world, like the historical patterns and systemic issues that influence our lives.
Especially with the backgrounds of the speakers they've got lined up for their elder call.
Oh, right. We'll talk about those in a bit, but yeah, those are going to add a whole other layer to this dreaming practice.
Okay, so what about collective care? What's that all about?
To me, that really emphasizes the importance of community support, especially when times are tough.
Yeah, it's like they're saying, we can't do this alone. We need each other.
And that's especially important when you think about the potential for social service cuts. People might have to rely more on their communities for support.
And with everything being online these days, it makes sense that they'd focus on building community in those spaces.
Totally. Like sharing resources, forming support networks, and just being there for each other.
Okay, so we've got dreaming, collective care, and then there's practice. What's that about?
Well, I think that's the part where you actually take action. It's about turning those dreams into reality.
So it's not just about thinking and feeling good, it's about actually doing something.
Exactly. It's about learning new skills, experimenting with different ways of living, and taking concrete steps towards the future you want to create.
And I bet they'll be sharing a lot of practical tips and strategies for doing that during Lab 102.
Absolutely. It's all about putting those dreams and collective care into practice.
It's interesting how they're framing this whole thing as essential for resilience.
Right. Like these practices aren't just nice to have, they're crucial for surviving and thriving in the face of uncertainty.
And they're not just targeting this at one specific group of people either.
No, they're really trying to reach a broad audience.
Like, they specifically mention laid-off federal workers, which makes sense given the potential impact of the spending bill.
Right. But they also mention organizations that are trying to support their teams through these changes.
Which is smart, because it's not just individuals who are affected by these shifts, it's entire organizations.
And then they also mention just a human being searching for clarity in a constitutional crisis.
Which, let's be honest, is probably a lot of us these days.
Yeah, it feels like everyone is looking for some kind of guidance or direction in all this uncertainty.
And that's what makes this lab so interesting. They're offering tools and practices that can help people navigate these challenges, no matter who they are or what their situation is.
Okay, so let's talk about the structure of Lib 102. It starts on April 3rd, 2025, and runs through May 1st, 2025.
Yep, with a bonus week at the end.
Cool. And they've got these pre-recorded elder calls scheduled for week 2 and week 4.
Yes, and these are going to be really special. We're going to hear from Almeida's grandmother and mother.
And their stories are incredibly powerful. Almeida's grandmother is a second-generation Jim Crow refugee from Mississippi.
And her mother is a third-generation refugee born in Waukegan, Illinois.
Can you imagine the wisdom and insights they have to share?
I know, it's going to be amazing to hear their perspectives on navigating challenging times and building resilience across generations.
They've lived through so much, and their stories are going to add such a valuable dimension to the lab's work.
It's like they're bringing history to life and showing how it connects to the challenges we're facing today.
Absolutely. And I think it's going to be really powerful to hear how they've used these practices of dreaming, collective care, and practice in their own lives.
Yeah, like what kind of dreams sustain them through adversity? How did they practice collective care in their communities? And what specific actions did they take to overcome challenges and create a better future?
Those are such important questions, and hearing your answers is going to be so inspiring. Okay, so to wrap things up, it seems like Healing and Change Lab is this amazing online space that's all about empowering people to create positive change in their lives.
Yeah, they're drawing inspiration from Hillman Talk and TikTok University, but they're also creating something unique and powerful.
And their core practices of dreaming, collective care, and practice are really at the heart of everything they do.
And Lab 102 is going to be a deep dive into how to use those practices to navigate the potential challenges of the next 6 months and beyond.
And they're inviting everyone to join them, laid off federal workers, organizations, and just anyone who's feeling uncertain about the future.
If you want to learn more about them or check out their previous work, their YouTube channel is at Almetta Creates. That's ALMETTA_CREATES.
So, as we think about all of this, the potential changes coming our way, and the lab's focus on resilience, I'm curious, what are some steps you're thinking about taking to prepare for the next 6 months? It's something we all need to be thinking about, Real.
Absolutely. It's time to start dreaming, connecting, and taking action.
Thanks for joining us for this deep dive. We'll see you next time.
See you then.